So Dune 2 has been announced. It is official. It is being made. Now, I find that a little odd. I thought it was odd to begin with that, I was actually shocked and surprised. I guess I wasn't keeping up with the news, but I just thought it was assumed that it was being done in 2 or maybe 3 parts. I just thought that was a thing. I did not know that there was something with the studios and, trying to figure out, the financial thing that rules Hollywood, that rules this whole money-making machine. I didn't know that it was a situation where they were waiting to see how Dune Part 1 did before they made Part 2, which just, Dune opens up, it's Part 1, so by default, it just seemed whatever, that was an inevitable thing. And anyone who knows the history of the Dune, the Frank Herbert novels knows the how dense that whole thing is and how much material is there. And it was almost expected. And I believe it was. I don't think that it was, I think it was a conclusion. Like they knew they were going to do Part 2, I think. I'm not sure why the hoopla and the whole speculation that, we're waiting to see if Dune 1 actually does box office numbers and then we'll give it the green light to do Part 2. I don't really believe that. But all that said, it's being done. For 2023 release exclusively in theaters. So you mofos who were just waiting for it on HBO Max, you're going to have to go to the theater to see it, to see Part 2. I want to do this. So this is Dune 2, the title of this video, Dune 2. But if I may, and I don't know if this is appropriate. I don't know if it's allowed. I don't know the, what is it? Is it proper to revise my previous review of Dune? We're getting into it, just straight into it. I'm not doing the whole intro thing. We don't need the intro. I'm that guy that talks movies. Welcome to my channel, otherwise known as, what color will his beard be and what shape will it be this week? I want to get right into this. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Let's get this out of the way. Hit subscribe if you're new and you want to talk about movies and all that wonderful stuff, or just see me talk about whatever I talk about. Collecting movies. We do a lot of stuff. I talk about I say we, it's really me. Sometimes my production person that's not here. But yeah, I talk about movies and collecting movies and my thoughts on movies and trailers and all that good stuff. So if that's you, hit subscribe. The guys and people who have been with me so far, appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Let's get into it. Dune 2. This is also about me revising my previous thoughts on Dune. I think I was premature in my excitement. I think I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I was very excited. I did enjoy the movie. Let me get that out of the way. I thought Dune was great. Visually speaking, from an epic standpoint, from a big visual cinematography and how did it look and how did Denny do and what did it feel like to see that in IMAX? I thought it was great. Part of that might have also come from the fact that, the movie I saw prior to that was No Time to Die. And I did see Tenet in theaters back when that was released during, the middle of the pandemic, I think in August, whenever that was. But this was a long time waiting, so there was a certain amount of that feeling of, finally I get to see it. So kind of like I was already predisposed to liking it. I'm already a fan of Denis Villeneuve. I knew what he was going to do here. I knew what it was going to look like. And to see it executed in its entirety and to hear it and see it in IMAX, I was overwhelmed and I actually enjoyed it. But here's the but. Here's where the revision comes in. I saw it in IMAX and then watched it 3, 4, maybe 5 times over the weekend. And one of those times was with my wife. I got her into it. I dragged her into it. And I said, you got to watch this movie with me. Sit down and watch Dune. You'll love Dune. We started talking about it. She watched it. Now, she liked it, but she had a lot of questions. And it was me answering those questions and talking to her about Dune and the history of Dune and explaining to her the whole Frank Herbert and there's these novels and it's this big sci-fi thing. It influenced a lot of other sci-fi movies. It has a history, and they did a movie back in '84 and it didn't do too well. And I was telling her the stuff. She was like, who's the Emperor guy? And because it was stuff about the Padishah, emperor, and she didn't know who that was. So I had to explain to who that was and explain to her about, Virginia Madsen played the daughter, and that's the way it opens up in the other one. And she starts talking about the whole history. And, you got the Landsrat, and you've got, all these political things happening, and these different people, and the Bene Gesserit, and who's this and who's that. So she was kind of confused through a lot of it, although she did enjoy it. So, boom. That brings me to my revision review, my review part 2. So Dune 2, right? That guy talks movies wants to just tell you that I don't think it was as great as it should have been. I said it. I think it works for people who are looking for a Dune movie, who are already familiar with the material, who are looking for something to be greater than the 84 film, and looking for something to fulfill expectations when it comes to what we know about the book. Again, whether you're a diehard Frank Herbert fan and you've read every single, I think it's like 8 books in the Dune series, and you've seen the TV show that was done back in the day, whatever series that was. I never even saw that. But like, whether you're one of those guys or someone who just read the original Dune and that was it, you were looking for something and you were expecting something. And I think Denny did a great job. I just think that if we were to judge it on the merits of a standalone movie where a layman came into it and didn't know anything about that universe, how would it play out? And I'm trying to think of whether or not I would be satisfied with this movie if I were one of those people. If I was someone who had no prior knowledge and I didn't come into it with any expectation, would I sit down and watch this as a sci-fi movie and feel like, wow? I think the only thing that would cause me a whole lot of wow would be, again, the visual, cinematography, the sound, the sound design, sound editing, the score by Hans Zimmer. All of that stuff would be certainly worth noting and certainly worth appreciating. I just don't think that if I were an outsider to this universe, that I would get the movie 100%, that it would resonate with me the same way it does with somebody who kind of understands it all. I'm yapping, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. Let me know in the comments below if you get what I'm saying. Yeah, I thought of it in terms of, if someone's watching this and doesn't know anything about this universe, would they be able to sit down and truly be satisfied? Would they get something out of it? And then it ends abruptly and kind of just, again, that's an expectation that the people who knew going into this, we knew it was going to end abruptly. We knew it was going to go into a part 2 or part 3. So, but for people who didn't, maybe they were just like, what the hell? And like, what's going on? I also feel watching it, a few more times that it left a lot in terms of the characters and really getting to know certain characters. And the Baron, I think most of the emphasis there was just on him being this large, gargantuan, beastly kind of guy. Harkonnen, that was, it didn't serve, and you didn't really get to know him well enough. That's the way I see it. That's just my take on it. Same thing with everyone else. I feel like we got pieces of them, but not enough. And that would be, again, we're satisfied by it. The people who know the story already, the people who are familiar with the material, we were satisfied. So when I did my initial review, if you haven't seen that, by the way, you can look up here. The link for that is here. My initial review was, I felt like expectations were met and I was happy. But then again, watching it with a layperson, watching it with my wife and having her ask all these questions, but she enjoyed it, but she didn't quite know what was going on. That made me think about it. And I said, you know what? I want to talk about that. I want to bring that up in a video, and I want to just share my thoughts and say that maybe it wasn't all it's cracked up to be. And maybe we were so wrapped up in it. We got sort of what we wanted, and we were so thrilled by the visuals and the sound that we gave it a 4-star, 5 whatever rating we gave it. So I want to talk about it. So that's my Dune 2 thing. Talk about the fact that there's going to be Dune 2. It's been confirmed. I'm excited about that. I am looking forward to it. So just to put an end on this, to cap this off with, I'm not revising technically like how I felt about whether I was satisfied with the movie. That's not really what I'm doing here. If there's any confusion about that, I'm more or less just saying that I think to reevaluate my initial, to reevaluate my thoughts on the actual film, I would have to go back and just bring it down some and say, to somebody coming into this who doesn't know anything about this movie or this universe and all the politics behind it and all the different characters and the families and the houses and this, that, and the other, and you don't know Frank Herbert's novels, I think this would not play so high, is what I'm saying. I think it would be a visual spectacular that doesn't have much substance. Maybe that's the way I should say it. Anyway, so I wanted to put that out. I wanted to say it, keep it real, and just say that. Look, if you agree with me, if you've revised your thoughts on this film, maybe you're like me, maybe you thought about it a couple times, you watched it on HBO Max. And that's the other thing. All right, while we're going, I know I'm getting along with this, but oftentimes we don't have the ability to see a big film like this in theaters and then immediately go home and watch it 4 or 5 more times, right? Normally, you're seeing a film in the theaters. Now, if you're like me, sometimes you'll see something 2 or 3 times in theaters, right? You see it a couple times in a theater, but most people will see something once in a theater, maybe twice, and then you've got to wait how many months before you see it again, before the Blu-ray comes out for you to see it again, and you can actually get another take on it. So this is a unique opportunity where I saw it in theaters and immediately watched it 3 or 4 times again on HBO Max at home. And it made me think about it again. So just want to talk about that. I know I got longer than I wanted to here, but I'm excited about Dune 2. I'm looking forward to that. We'll see what happens. Zendaya, Timothée Chalamet coming back. They'll be the main people in this one. We'll see how much material gets covered. There's a lot of things that happen. There are questions that need to be answered. There are things that have to happen that we know about from the novels. We'll see if they're all going to get, if it's going to get all, condensed into this one last movie, or they're going to do a third movie. I don't know. Who knows where they go with this, but I'm looking forward to it. Either way, it makes me excited. 2023, Dune, I'll be there in the theaters, IMAX. I'll talk about it. Hopefully I still have a channel. I'll have subscribers, whatever. Anyway, that's it for me on That Guy Talks Movies. If you like this video, go ahead, hit the like button. I really appreciate that. It really helps the whole, apparently there's an algorithm and all sorts of stuff that happens behind the scenes. So if you don't like my shit and you don't subscribe, it affects what kind of me putting up content and it getting out there. So I appreciate you people. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done it already. Let me know your thoughts on Dune. If you haven't told me already on the other video, let me know. Go back and watch my original review so you know how I thought about it. And let me know in the comments. I'm going to end this That Guy Talks Movies. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.